The immigration bill is a top priority for President Barack Obama. In fact, earlier this week, he made it clear he wants Congress to send him a bill by fall. But many Republicans have made it clear that there are significant changes that need to be made. Let's take a look.
President Barack Obama is urging lawmakers to back a bipartisan immigration bill.
So that's what immigration reform looks like. Smarter enforcement, a pathway to earn citizenship, improvements to our legal system. They're all common sense steps. So there's no reason Congress can't get this done by the end of the summer.
Obama's remarks are meant to give momentum to the issue, one of his main policy priorities this term. The Senate is preparing to take its first floor vote on the issue this week.
This week, the Senate will consider a common sense, bipartisan bill that is the best chance we've had in years to fix our broken immigration system.
I know we're in the throes of this immigration debate, which is very conflictive and divisive in many quarters, including among people that are supporters of ours and of mine. But at the essence of our immigration policy is compassion, is the idea that not only do we believe that people from all walks of life can succeed if given the opportunity, we actually want that. We actually want to be the place where they succeed. Now, clearly through an orderly process, through a legal process, through a way that's measured and good for our country, but we believe these things. And we are motivated in that regard by our compassion.
The first test for the immigration bill will bring the measure before the full 100-member chamber. Supporters of the bill are expected to get the 60 votes needed to clear the hurdle. A final vote on the overall bill is expected by late June. The Senate bill is also calling for billions of dollars for enhanced border security and new visa programs. The bill has support from Democrats, but will need backing from some Republicans. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives is looking at the reform with more skepticism.
Fresh Outlook welcomes back Didi Benke, Jackie Guzda, and our experts on immigration, Remzi Kulen, immigration attorney. And in our D.C. studios, we have Julietta Garibay. She's a legislative affairs assistant for United We Start. We're going to talk about this and start with the bill itself. And 750 pages. I'm going to ask if you can maybe summarize it just a little bit for us.
This is just a huge attempt on overhauling the whole immigration system. It just does not only provide provisions for the illegal immigrants, it also provides some new regulations for legal immigration to the U.S., including low-skilled workers program, including high-skilled workers program, some changes in the family immigration, and some changes in the border security as well.
Border security is a big.
Everybody talks about the 11 million people are illegals and then they're going to become citizens, but it also has some other components which affect legal aliens too.
Well, let's talk about the pathway to citizenship. There's if these 11 million immigrants come in, there are fines that have to be paid, back taxes, and other issues as well. But it seems to be a dividing force with Republicans and Democrats. In fact, let's talk about this. Republican Michelle Bachmann says this is President Obama's #1 goal, but also says immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship will mean the end of the Republican Party. And Didi, we'll turn that one over to you. Could this mean the end of the Republican Party?
Well, that's not the first thing Michelle Bachmann said.
Well,
It didn't really quite come to fruition or was exactly right. Respect to the Congresswoman, but I don't agree with her. But it is a topic that has divided the party to some extent. And the devil's in the details. I mean, obviously something has to be done. But where do you go? I mean, I'm in the camp of, sure, we want citizenship, but they should get in the back of the line. They shouldn't cut in front of everyone else. I had a friend that her boyfriend just became a citizen, and he had to work very, very hard to do that. Well, everyone should. So it should just be fair, but that's where that's where it gets complicated. There's so many levels, so we've got to work on it.
Well, if we can talk about it, dividing a little bit of the Republican Party itself. Republican, obviously, Jeb Bush is taking a leadership role, telling Republicans that this is good for the party. He is quoted as saying this week, immigrants don't like Republicans, and that needs to change. Again, Didi, I'm going to throw that one over to you.
Well, I wanted Marco Rubio to be our presidential candidate. I think he'd be President Rubio right now if he had run. So, I think it depends on who the leadership is, and we really do have a problem in the party with immigrants, with illegal aliens, whatever you want to call it, because I say that because some people in the party feel that way, and others are like, yes, let's go ahead and give a path to citizenship. So in the Republican Party, I mean, we really are divided, and we do need to work on it. There's a problem there, and there's no doubt about it. You can't you know, can't say it's anything else.
And of course, this has to be a very compassionate debate because we are talking about the lives of 11 million people. Jackie, your thoughts?
Well, look, Jeb Bush was right. I mean, he used kind of strange nomenclature this week by saying that immigrants are more fertile than
see,
Americans.
that's the problem. When they say things like that, when Republicans say things like that, you're being very kind, Jackie, actually, but I think it was a stupid thing to say. You shouldn't. You can't talk like that.
Okay, what I think he meant is that they have big families. They have big families early. And you know, that's actually financially good because, no, immigrants are good for America. I mean, they're good for America because they bring in more money. I know there's been studies that show that they're draining money from our social programs. However, if you take a look at long-term studies, once immigrant families are established in America and the kids are educated, well-schooled, etc., and they go up and they grow up, they're paying more taxes, they're putting more money into the kitty, and they're
not doing it now, though, because they're not citizens.
Some of them are doing it because
not much,
because this has been going on for a long time. You probably think that because there was a study done early in the spring that showed they went across, they looked at Republicans, Democrats, Independents. 45% of the people in the United States said, yeah, these immigrants are just here to take money from the American coffer. And it's not true.
We want to turn it over to Julietta Garibay. She is the Legislative Affairs Assistant for United We of course, are talking about immigration, and there's a lot of debate this week. Your thoughts, Julietta?
I mean, it's an exciting time. We know it's going to be a lot of work. We know it's going to be a lot of compromises between Republicans and Democrats. But at the end of the day, it's about really addressing the issue that there is 11 million undocumented immigrants that have been contributing to this country, but now want to become citizens.
And of course, there's a lot of concern. Some people think that the 11 million immigrants who could come into this country will be given some of the rights that Americans have and will be get some of the benefits as well, and that's a real concern. Julietta, do you have any thoughts on that? Ramsey, we're gonna throw that one over to you. What about the fear that a lot of Americans have?
Well,
that they will be entitled to certain benefits.
Well, I think this is a pretty well thought out plan because they tried it once in the past, it didn't happen. And this time they know that they have to take the necessary measures. First of all, to protect the borders, and then to penalize employers who will have undocumented workers. First of all, there are some triggers in this bill, if it passes this way, there are some triggers in this bill that needs to be met before even providing registered provisional immigrant status to these illegal aliens. So, and they will not actually go in front of the line, they will go in the back of the line. We're talking about a 10-year waiting period and then maybe applying for green cards after the benchmarks are met. And the most important thing that we should consider here is the benchmarks must be clarified more properly, I think, and they have to be attainable.
Clarified in what way? If you can, where is there going to be more clarification?
In 6 months, they have to deploy a plan and implement a plan for border security and border fencing. I mean, fencing, come on. We know that that's not going to work. It didn't work before. It's not going to work. So I think that we have a problem over there. If we just tie this status, immigration status, to those unattainable goals, then the status of these illegal immigrants will be in limbo for years to come. The Senate is going to pass the bill, maybe House of Representatives is going to pass the bill, but to implement it is going to be a big problem.
You think it's good for the country?
It is definitely good for the country, yes.
But we have so many people divided, Republicans against Democrats. In fact, a new Fox poll shows 76% of voters want to pass an immigration bill, but there's so many discrepancies, as we said, between party lines, races, and ages. Here we go. 90% of Republicans and 87% of people 65 and older want more border security. So do white people. 85% of Democrats and 79% of people under the age of 30 and 82% of non-whites support a pathway to citizenship. So there seems to be, within races, within ages, and on party lines. So how do we get everybody to come together? And can we do it by the fall?
It's tough. I mean, it really is a tough issue because there are so many working parts. I want border security. I'm one of those border security people. I mean, you have to have border security, and it's never happened. That's a big part of the problem. But we're here now, so we've got a lot of citizens that we need to deal with, illegal now. So the pathway to citizenship, I think a lot of times when Republicans hear that, they're thinking blanket amnesty. I don't want blanket amnesty. So I think a lot of it's the language and working through it. And again, devil's in the details. There's just a lot to work through.
I'm just saying that there is so much detail in this bill, 750 pages, that I think addresses most of the concerns that the Republicans have. Because before this, it wasn't like that, and I agree. They're saying in 1986 we did the same thing, and we still have 11 million illegal aliens, so what's going to happen? This bill, I think, addresses these questions. It's just that those goals have to be better clarified. Otherwise, I suspect, I'm afraid that it's going to be a limbo status, because before those benchmarkers are met, nobody's getting these
what do you mean by
registers.
What if it goes? What does it mean in terms of a limbo status? I mean, in terms of, I mean,
Here's the
we
thing.
still have 11 million people here.
Yes, the Department of Homeland Security is going to implement whatever they are told to do. So they have to be given, I think, some discretion on how to implement this thing. The law right now, the way it is written, it is so concrete, because nobody wants any government agencies to use any discretion. I think that's wrong. They have to be giving more discretion to the Department of Homeland Security and also to the immigration judges, I think.
All right, we're going to have thoughts on whether or not Congress is going to be able to pass this and get a bill over to Obama by the fall. Predictions. We'll let you go first, Dee Dee.
I'm going to say no.
You don't think it's going to happen? Okay, Jackie?
I think in order to get anything passed, an amended bill or the bill that we have now, that you've got to have the American people behind it. And I'm blaming the media here, because the media is putting out basically xenophobic hate speech. They're calling immigrants insects, they're calling them, you know, all these horrible things, and we've heard it over and over, and that's why you came up with those statistics.
Well, 76% of Americans did say that they would like to see some sort of bill on immigration. So Americans, we would say 3/4 do want it. Is it going to happen, Ramsey?
I think it's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Democrats need to hear Republicans more. Republicans need to hear Democrats more. They just have to talk. It is going to pass on the Senate. Big issue with the House of Representatives.
I don't think it's going to happen that quickly.
I don't think it's going to happen. Well, I don't think it's going to happen in the fall. I think it's
not
going to
in the fall.
happen by the end of the year.
I think it'll happen too,
Yeah,
but not in
by
the
the
fall.
end of the year.
I think it's going to
by
take
the
longer
end
to
of
work
the
through
year.
it. There's just so much.
Definitely. And you know what? We are not in a hurry. I don't think we're in a hurry. Let's get it right. It doesn't have to be so fast. It just has to be perfect, I think.
Oh, it would be a landmark bill if it did happen.
Yes.
We thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
It was great to see you again, and come back on Fresh Outlook. Well, we're going to change lanes right now and change topics. And when we come back, mental illness and violent crimes. If we can detect and treat mental illness early, can we decrease violent crimes in this country?